Former UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker is navigating a pivotal moment in his storied career with refreshing honesty. Once the undisputed king at 185 pounds and a perennial contender, the Reaper has faced a challenging stretch that has forced him to reassess his ultimate goals. Following recent losses to the undefeated Khamzat Chimaev in a grueling fight and a surprising setback against Reinier de Ridder, the MMA community has been abuzz with questions about Whittaker's future. Debates have swirled over whether the 33-year-old should persist in the crowded middleweight division or test the waters at light heavyweight. However, in a candid interview with Submission Radio, Whittaker revealed a shifted perspective, moving from a singular focus on the title to embracing the final chapters of his career with his family at the forefront. Whittaker openly acknowledged that his recent defeats have created significant distance between himself and another shot at the gold. "The belt is kind of like a pipe dream at the moment after losing to de Ridder," Whittaker admitted. "It's another loss. It pushes me back much further than I want to be, from the title, the pathway to where I wanted to finish up." This frank assessment highlights the reality of the fight game, where momentum is everything, and a single loss can derail years of progress. Rather than dwelling on the postponed title aspirations, Whittaker has chosen to redefine success for the remaining fights on his contract. His new focus is on gratitude, enjoyment, and sharing the unique experience with his children. "So right now my trajectory has kind of changed. I've got a few fights left. I want to enjoy the journey," he explained. "I want to enjoy the camp process. I want to enjoy fight week. I want to enjoy the fight itself." The most poignant part of his new mission is to involve his family. "I want my family to be part of that. I want my boys and my kids to see the show, see the background of the big corporation that is the UFC, the most professional MMA tournament in the world, through eyes nobody else can before I wrap things up. So that's my biggest goal right now." This shift in perspective from a relentless pursuit of a belt to a desire to savor every moment underscores the maturity of a veteran who has given his all to the sport. While the fire to compete still burns, Robert Whittaker's legacy is now being defined not just by wins and losses, but by the wisdom to appreciate the journey itself. Former UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones secured a significant legal victory on Tuesday when misdemeanor charges connected to a February hit-and-run incident near his Albuquerque home were formally dismissed by the court. The case, which had been pending since the alleged incident occurred earlier this year, was dropped after prosecutors reviewed the evidence and found Jones's alibi to be, quote, credible. Jones, who announced his retirement from mixed martial arts in June, was accused of fleeing the scene of a car accident. Following the court's decision, Jones issued a lengthy and forceful statement on social media platform X, vehemently denying any involvement and accusing another individual of making a false report. "I want to begin by thanking the District Attorney's Office for carefully reviewing the facts and ultimately vindicating me completely," Jones stated. "I have always believed in the importance of truth and fairness, and I am grateful that the evidence spoke for itself. The simple fact is this: I was never there. I never even left my house that night, and all the evidence proved that." Jones argued that the allegations, which surfaced publicly shortly after his retirement announcement, were a deliberate attempt to deflect blame and tarnish his reputation. "In this case, there was a rush to judgment before any real evidence was gathered," Jones continued. "I understand that, in the court of public opinion, the allegations may have seemed believable, especially given my past mistakes. But by the time these claims were made public, I had just retired from competition. And that moment was stolen from me by someone who made false accusations to avoid a DWI and any real accountability." He concluded by calling for accountability for the accuser, stating, quote, "It is deeply troubling that, in today's world, a single false accusation can take so much away from someone before any evidence is even considered." The legal resolution marks a positive turn for Jones, whose planned legacy-cementing fight against interim champion Tom Aspinall stalled over the summer, leading to his retirement announcement. Despite UFC CEO Dana White's previous assurances that the bout would be made, negotiations failed to materialize. However, with this legal cloud now lifted, Jones's competitive future appears to be back on track. Recent reports indicate that the former champion has already pivoted from his retirement plans and is now targeting a high-profile return to the octagon at a major UFC event next summer. UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski is known for his ferociousness inside the octagon, but he recently showed a different kind of ruthlessness, masterminding a brutally convincing prank on one of his biggest fans. The incident occurred during a taping for the Unscripted Show, an Oceania-based podcast that interviews athletes from the region. Volkanovski, who recently reclaimed the UFC featherweight throne by defeating Diego Lopes for the vacant title, was the featured guest. The target was Ben, a video editor for the show, and a self-proclaimed die-hard Volk fan. As a dream-come-true moment, Ben was given the opportunity to briefly grapple with his longtime idol. However, the experience quickly turned from thrilling to terrifying, as part of an elaborate prank orchestrated by Volkanovski and the show's staff. Shortly into the light grappling exchange, Volkanovski executed the plan with Oscar-worthy precision. He suddenly collapsed to the mat, clutching his neck and feigning a severe injury. The room fell silent as Ben, believing he had accidentally hurt his hero, was immediately consumed by panic and guilt. The recently released footage shows a genuinely distraught Ben hovering over a seemingly injured Volkanovski, who maintains the charade perfectly. The prank was only revealed moments later when the Great broke character, much to Ben's immense relief. Fortunately, the fan took the joke in good spirits after the initial shock subsided, a testament to Volkanovski's relatable charm, even when playing the villain. This lighthearted moment highlights Volkanovski's refreshed and positive mindset as he embarks on his second reign as featherweight king. This comes after a difficult period where he contemplated retirement following back-to-back knockout losses to Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev ahead of UFC 314. His redemption victory has clearly reignited his passion for the sport and his connection with fans. With the prank behind him, Volkanovski's attention now turns to a crowded field of contenders vying for his title. The surging Lerone Murphy, who delivered a Knockout of the Year candidate against Aaron Pico at UFC 319, has already been called out and accepted by Volkanovski for a potential December showdown. However, the landscape is competitive. Former bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling made a strong case for a title shot with his victory over Brian Ortega at UFC Shanghai, while the undefeated Movsar Evloev also looms as a future challenger. For now, a reinvigorated Volkanovski is enjoying the moment, successfully defending his title and playing jokes on his supporters with equal prowess. The UFC Paris main event between Nassourdine Imavov and Caio Borralho has escalated far beyond a standard contenders bout. It has become a high-stakes psychological war, where the battle before the battle, centered on a brutal weight-cutting strategy, may ultimately decide the outcome inside the octagon. The calculated provocation. The genesis of this mental chess match lies in a recent event both fighters were involved in. Initially, both Imavov and Borralho were in contention to serve as the backup fighter for UFC 319. In a move he now admits was entirely deliberate, Imavov abruptly withdrew, forcing Borralho to step in and undergo a severe weight cut on short notice. This left the Brazilian with the daunting task of executing two massive weight cuts in a very short period, a brutal physical ordeal even for the most seasoned athletes. Imavov, however, offers no apologies. He revealed his tactical reasoning on Full Send MMA. "We did it on purpose, because we knew that his ego would take the fight, and it would be a bad thing for him. Now I wonder if he will be 100% in the fight or not. I just want the best Caio Borralho. I don't want any excuses after this fight." It was a cold, calculated move designed to test Borralho's limits before they ever set foot in the cage together. For his part, Caio Borralho has been quick to dismiss any concerns about his condition, attributing the narrative to outsiders who don't understand his process. On Shaq MMA, he bristled at the criticism. "Everybody that's saying all of this, they have an idea of how it is. They don't know how much I weigh. They don't know how much I cut it. They're just analysts, and I don't care." The natural insists the first cut has, paradoxically, made him sharper for the second. He claims to be in the best shape of his life, both mentally and physically, stating he has been able to consume carbs and stay hydrated in a way that has shocked onlookers at the UFC Performance Institute. Adding significant weight to the intrigue is the opinion of former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker. Breaking down the matchup, Whittaker didn't just analyze skills, he focused on the toll of Borralho's preparation. From personal experience, Whittaker knows the hidden cost of such a drastic cut. "I feel like having that a month out from your fight isn't the best," he stated. "Then usually after a fight or after a heavy cut, I get sick because your immune system and your nervous system plummet. I don't think it's the best thing to do." Whittaker expects the wrestling of both men to neutralize each other, leading to a standing battle over 5 rounds where he believes Imavov's technical striking will prove superior. Ultimately, he predicts that Borralho's road to victory is weighed down by the very physical sacrifices he claims to have overcome. The stage is set for a dramatic clash at UFC Paris. Will Caio Borralho defy the odds and prove his resilience, making Imavov's gambit backfire? Or will Nassourdine Imavov's psychological warfare pay dividends, leading to a depleted opponent and a triumphant victory in front of his home crowd? The answer will be revealed not in the first round, but likely in the championship rounds, where discipline and endurance are forged. The life of a UFC contender is a relentless grind of training, dieting, and media obligations. For Mackenzie Dern, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu phenom and proud mother, that balancing act was already her greatest challenge. But the whirlwind surrounding her upcoming title fight reached a new level of chaos when she discovered her shot at undisputed gold in the most modern and impersonal way possible. While the MMA world erupted over news of Zhang Weili's next title defense and Dana White's official announcement, Dern was not given a heads up by the promotion. Instead, she learned her fate alongside millions of fans via an Instagram post. What Dern initially believed was another high-stakes contender bout was suddenly transformed into the main event. The opportunity to fight for the UFC Strawweight Championship carries a weight and prestige unlike any other. The news was not only a surprise, but also a confusing shift in plans. Just weeks prior, the UFC had floated the idea of an interim title. Now, out of nowhere, the undisputed belt was on the line. In a moment of stunned disbelief, Dern immediately reached out to her manager, Jason "Tiki" Gozin, for clarification. "I texted Tiki, wait, is it the real belt or the interim belt?" she recalled. He's like, "Oh, it's a real belt." The upgrade sent her team into a frantic but euphoric scramble. The goal had always been the authentic championship, and its sudden arrival was met with a wave of surprise that quickly gave way to overwhelming relief and excitement. Yet, for Dern, this unconventional revelation offered a powerful sense of perspective. While interim gold would have been a monumental achievement, the chance to compete for the real UFC championship made every past struggle feel like part of a destined path. The hardships, a public and painful custody battle, injuries, and the constant sacrifice of time away from her daughter suddenly had a profound meaning. "It definitely puts extra happiness and gratefulness on it," she said. This unexpected title shot is more than just a fight for Mackenzie Dern. It is the culmination of a journey defined by resilience. Ready to embrace the whirlwind, she steps into the spotlight not just as a fighter, but as a mother and a testament to overcoming chaos, both inside and outside the octagon. The UFC's new anti-doping program, Combat Sports Anti-Doping (CSAD), has issued a significant suspension to veteran fighter Marina Moroz after she tested positive for a banned substance, potentially leading to a nearly 2-year layoff from competition. The violation marks one of the more notable suspensions since the UFC transitioned from USADA to CSAD in 2024, a period that has seen relatively few publicized failures. Moroz, a 10-year UFC veteran with a 6-6 in the promotion, tested positive for meldonium in out-of-competition samples collected on June 25 and July 16, 2025. Meldonium is a metabolic modulator that is prohibited at all times under the UFC anti-doping policy. In its official statement, CSAD detailed that the 2 positive tests were considered a single violation. The agency also revealed that Moroz provided medical documentation showing a licensed physician had prescribed her meldonium to treat reported medical symptoms. However, CSAD noted a critical failure in protocol. Moroz did not tell her physician that she was a drug-tested athlete, did not check with UFC-provided resources about the prohibited status of meldonium, and she did not submit an application for a therapeutic use exemption. Despite this, several factors led to a reduced sanction. CSAD considered that Moroz used the substance for a limited time without any bouts scheduled, and that she provided complete cooperation during the investigation. Consequently, her sanction was reduced from the standard 2 years to a 1-year suspension, retroactive to July 17, 2025. She will be eligible to return on July 17, 2026. The suspension deals a significant blow to the 33-year-old's career. By the time her suspension is lifted in mid-2026, it will have been nearly 2.5 years since her last octagon appearance. A split decision loss to Joanne Wood at UFC 299 in March 2024. A recent social media post from the American Top Team product suggests she is remaining in the gym during her suspension. However, the lengthy involuntary layoff presents a formidable challenge for the veteran fighter's hopes of making another run in the UFC's competitive women's flyweight division. Rising bantamweight prospect Raul Rosas Jr. has been forced to withdraw from his highest-profile UFC assignment to date. El Niño Problema was scheduled to face perennial contender and number 9 ranked Rob Font at Noche UFC on September 13th, but is pulled out due to a training injury. The highly anticipated matchup, which represented a massive step up in competition for the 20-year-old, was announced only days before Rosas Jr. sustained the injury. Taking to Instagram, Rosas Jr. provided his fans with a transparent and detailed account of how the injury occurred and why it necessitated his withdrawal. "As much as I wanted this fight to prove myself against the best in the world, I won't be able to make it," Rosas Jr. wrote. He explained that the injury happened during a grappling exchange when he was caught in a body triangle. "I was trying to escape by spinning away and pulled it. Despite attempts to train through the pain, the injury did not heal sufficiently to allow him to prepare properly for a top 10 opponent. I tried to push through it but didn't heal, and won't fully heal in time. Barely starting to get back into normal training," he stated. While the withdrawal is a setback, Rosas Jr.'s update suggests the rib injury is not a long-term concern. In fact, he has set an incredibly ambitious goal for his return, aiming to compete twice more before the end of the year. "Hopefully I'll be back soon. Looking to heal soon and step back in the cage 2 more times this year," he wrote, adding that he still intends to, quote, "earn my spot again against a top 15 inches opponent." This goal underscores the young fighter's renowned drive and work ethic, though fitting 2 full training camps and fights into the remainder of the year would be a significant challenge. The injury halts the momentum of one of the UFC's youngest and most talked about talents. With a professional record of 11-1, Rosas Jr. is currently on a 4-fight winning streak. He holds a 5-1 record inside the octagon, with recent victories over Ricky Tercios and a decisive unanimous decision win over veteran Vince Morales in his last outing. The fight with Font was seen as a critical test to determine if Rosas Jr. was ready to compete with the elite of the division. While fans will have to wait a bit longer for that answer, Rosas Jr.'s focus is now on a full recovery before resuming his rapid ascent of the bantamweight rankings. Former UFC interim welterweight champion Colby Covington is closely monitoring the landscape of the 170-pound division, offering his seasoned analysis on the upcoming UFC 322 main event between champion Jack Della Maddalena and challenger Islam Makhachev. The highly anticipated bout marks a classic striker versus grappler matchup. Della Maddalena will be making the first defense of the welterweight title he captured earlier this year, while the reigning lightweight king, Makhachev, is moving up in weight in pursuit of a second championship. The oddsmakers at FanDuel currently install Makhachev as a significant -260 favorite, listing the champion Della Maddalena as a +196 underdog. Covington, known for his own elite wrestling and fight IQ, largely agrees with this assessment. He believes Makhachev's world-class grappling gives him a clear advantage, though he cautions that an upset is firmly within the realm of possibility. "I saw the odds were pretty big. They favored Makhachev like 3-1, Covington stated in an interview with Helen Yee. "So I guess I've got to go with the odds if they're going 3-1, but just because JDM doesn't have good takedown defense. But you never know. It's a fight, and JDM has some good hands, so it should be an exciting fight for the fans." Covington pinpointed the central dynamic that will likely decide the contest: Della Maddalena's natural size and power at welterweight versus Makhachev's suffocating wrestling and top control. While he acknowledges that the champion's physicality and dangerous striking could pose serious problems, Covington ultimately believes the challenger's skill set is the more reliable path to victory. "It's an interesting fight. I'm excited to see how it goes," Covington elaborated. "Islam is a lightweight. He's going to be a little smaller in the fight, but he's a well-rounded fighter, so if he's able to take down JDM and control him, he could definitely get the job done. But it's going to be interesting to see how the size advantage plays a difference in the fight." Despite his prediction, Covington affirmed that this is a must-watch event for any fight fan, and a critical matchup for the future of the welterweight division, which he himself hopes to reclaim. He will be studying the bout intently to gauge the strengths and weaknesses of both potential future opponents. UFC 322 is scheduled to take place on November 15th at the iconic Madison Square Garden in New York City.